My first pet was a cat named Bunny, and he was the love of my life. I used to drag him around with me everywhere I went. But we were always only allowed to have one. So that was really hard for me. I do remember as a child always wanting to save the frogs and the turtles and all that kind of stuff. I've always tried to save all the stray animals and go out and rescue them. My name is Amanda Reitz. I'm the founder of Happily Ever After Animal Sanctuary, and I love Happily Ever After Animal Sanctuary because it saves lives every day, and there's nothing better than saving a life. Happily Ever After is a 501c3 no-kill animal sanctuary. We take in animals with behavior issues, medical issues, and some just come to us healthy and are looking for a home that their families can no longer take care of.
We were on a family vacation, and we were at a cottage that we rented for 15 years together as a family for a week each summer. And Amanda had to run back to Green Bay for an activity, and she got about 2/10 of a mile down the road and came racing back in her vehicle, only to tell us that she had found a basset hound, which she affectionately ended up naming Walter. And Walter was one of the very first rescues of Happily Ever After. And things kind of blossomed from there initially into the garage of 1367 Glen Road, which is a home that Amanda and I grew up in as children. And as the need continued to identify itself quickly, the next natural progression was my father moved out to Marion and spent time living with my grandfather for the duration of my grandfather's life on his farmstead, which has turned into the sanctuary.
The day that Amanda walked up to me and said, "Dad, I have an idea." And I said, "What is it?" She started speaking regarding a no-kill animal sanctuary. And I said, my words to her were, I looked her right straight in the eye and I said, "Amanda, forget about it. It's never going to happen." And she said to me, "We wouldn't be the first people to ever do it." And I said, "Yeah, right." I said, "Show me one." And a couple days later, sure enough, wouldn't you know it, she came to me and said, "We're going to Utah." They went to the seminar on how to start an animal sanctuary, and I just kind of stayed in the background. I was kind of fulfilling my show me one type of thing. And by the time it was over, I started to realize it was possible to accomplish it. We kind of picked this location because it seemed like a perfect situation. It was out in the country, just the right place for something like this. It needed a lot of work, and it was still set up for the dairy farm, so the stanchions were all inside the barn yet. It wasn't in good shape.
It's just been remarkable what Amanda and her parents have done with the sanctuary to save lives of animals that are unwanted. It's a blessing, really.
Happily Ever After provides care for a wide range of different animals, mainly cats and dogs, but the occasional rabbit or pot-bellied pig. They could be feral or stray cats off the street who have never felt a human touch before, all the way to pets that have been in a home environment for a decade or more and have been living with a family. So all types of animals we take in. We provide socialization, rehabilitation if needed, to help make them more adaptable to find their forever homes. And if that never happens and we don't ever find the right fit, then they do get to stay here for their entire lives. Generally, the animals that are with us for longer, all of the staff members and volunteers form bonds with, very special relationships, and I think that is what makes Happily Ever After a sanctuary, which is what we're meant to be. So it's a home for these animals who this may be their home for the rest of their lives.
You're just a good girl. Yeah, we get your paw. I've been volunteering for 5 years now, just actually a little bit over that. Started out when Happily Ever After brought in 49 dogs from a rescue group, and I thought I was going to volunteer for a couple months, and here I am 5 years later and enjoying every moment of it. I'm a volunteer at both the adoption center here in Green Bay as well as our sanctuary out in Marion. I spend most of my time now with the cats and just a little bit with the dogs. And it's everything from being a lead here at the adoption center and helping out the crew to make sure everything goes well when I'm on a shift, which includes cleaning, socializing the cats, and just meeting a lot of visitors. Yes, come and visit with Jeanette.
I first began volunteering at Happily Ever After about 3 years ago. I was going through a divorce and we didn't have any children. I didn't want to become a recluse in my house and just stay home all day. So I was looking for an opportunity to get out of the house, and little did I know what that would mean 3 years later. We do a lot of socialization of the animals, checking on their daily behavior and health needs, things like that. Really at the forefront is always just making sure that the animals are taken care of and that they're getting everything that they need. We give back to the animals in a lot of ways, but what I've gotten from them is, you know, it's kind of no words to describe it. I look forward to coming here every week, seeing the cats and dogs that you kind of have a little crush on that you wish you could take home.
The reason that I decided to give, or why Happily Ever After means so much, is I think every animal deserves a chance, and I think that Happily Ever After gives them that chance.
Happily Ever After stands out to me because of the concept of the no-kill philosophy. And I know that's kind of hard in today's age with all the animals that need help, but it's a very good goal, and made me want to contribute to it. I lived in Puerto Rico early in my engineering career, and saw the effects of not having a humane society where stray animals were all over the place in need of rescue. And I just felt the best thing I could do was to contribute to the success of the animal shelter.
She gives animals a chance, and that's something that a lot of other shelters don't do. They get an opportunity to be showcased, they get an opportunity for people to see them, and hopefully they get adopted out and find their, you know, forever homes.
We're in a spot in our lives now that we can afford to financially help with some of the goals of Happily Ever After. But not only financially, we also use our talents. My husband Lee is an engineer, and he was able to help Amanda with some cat shelves for the shelter. And she approached us and said that she needed some cat shelves built. We ended up involving some of our neighbor kids, teenage kids, and those kids couldn't financially help, but they ended up coming over for hours. They ended up building 140 cat shelves for the shelter at Marion. So not only can we help money-wise, but we were really happy that we were able to bring time and talent, his talents, and also involving other young people, that there's different ways to give besides just financially.
If you've ever seen an adoption take place where they come in with a 10-year-old kid, or be a boy or a girl, don't make no difference, and they hand them that animal for the first time, and you get the look on their face. And that's what it's all about, making the animal have a good home and make people happy. Perfect.
We adopted our first dog in 2009, and she was a dog that came from sort of a puppy mill situation. And our second dog we adopted in 2011, and he was a stray that had come into Happily Ever After.
This is Byron. He's our 3-year-old boxer lab mix that we got from Happily Ever After.
We were looking for a dog for a while, and we just decided that the first place we should look is for a rescue.
Byron was flown up from Georgia, and he had parvo, which is like an intestinal disease that puppies get. And because of the virus, he wasn't able to walk on his back legs, and because of Happily Ever After, they were able to get him to walk and to get his strength up and everything else. And now we have a healthy little boy. When we came to Happily Ever After, we got that one-on-one. We got to meet with everybody that worked with him in the past. We got to meet with him and work with him individually and together. And we never got that at any other shelters before.
We oftentimes learn that, they're not quite ready to go home and they need a little bit more rehabilitation and time with us. So we actually have housed animals for 4 to 5 years before they find their forever family, just because we're trying to work through any issues that they had in the past and make sure that we're finding that forever family for them.
I think everybody, if they get the opportunity, should go out to Marion to see the full sanctuary as well. I mean, there's the satellite center here in Green Bay, but to actually go out to Marion and really see the roots and where it started, it's just amazing how much it's grown.
The animals that live at Happily Ever After, they aren't that different from every other animal. So many of them are very friendly, very loving, would make great pets. We just need somebody to come and offer them a forever home.
I think that we're helping create a no-kill community, and I think that that's really important, that people realize that, there are ways to save the animals, that it's not just a numbers game.
I think the number one thing is that it's local. You're helping the community instead of some big national organization and you don't know where your money's going and how much of it's going to certain places. You know where your money's going when you adopt a pet. You know you're helping dogs in this community find a home.
It's really bringing awareness to the community of the plight of the animals that are out there and the help that they do need.
I'm so incredibly proud of my family and the hard work that they've delivered back to the community that served them so well for 30+ years. There was a lot of hard work, a lot of effort, a lot of heart that went into making the sanctuary what it is today. But in addition to the work that they've done, it certainly could not have been done without the volunteers and the donors and the adopters throughout this process to make Happily Ever After what it is today, as well as where it's going.
All animal shelters need the same thing. They need a little money, they need a lot of help. Sometimes they need advice. Lots of things you can do to make this place better.
I've always believed when you give, you have to follow your heart. And when animals mean something to you, this is a natural choice then.
Every day, Happily Ever After serves hundreds of animals. We've been able to spay and neuter and adopt out thousands more. We want to thank all of you for your support. We want to thank our volunteers, our adopters, and our donors for making a difference in the lives of animals in need. We've accomplished so much together, but there's so much more that needs to be done. Please consider volunteering your time, adopting an animal, or making a donation to Happily Ever After. To learn how you can help, please visit our website, www.heanokill.org. Thank you all for your help and for making a difference in the lives of animals everywhere.